Hi guys, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel Leela Web Dev. So in this video we will try to learn about the key concepts of integer and float conversions as well as the operator hierarchy and associativity in the C programming. So I will try to explain you with detailed explanation example. So let's try to address this topic step by step. So the first one which I want to tell you is the integer and the float conversion. Normally in C, when performing operations or assigning the values, the type of operands, integer or float, determines how the operations are executed and what type of result will be. So let's understand this one in detail. So rules for the arithmetic operations. So for example, let's say that whenever you are trying to, let's say this is an example. So whenever you are trying to do integer plus integer, means always it will result in integer only. Let's say that we are having int a is equal to 2 comma b is equal to 3. Let's say that we are having like this. Okay, b is equal to 3. So this is the thing which we are having. Now whenever you are trying to print this one, integer plus integer, a plus b, if I try to do int c is equal to a plus b, if I try to do this one, so integer plus integer always results in integer. For example, if I try to do 2 by 3 means, you know that 2 by 3 always will be an floating point, but here we are having integer plus integer, it will always result to an integer only. So that is one thing which you need to understand. For example, let's say that int result is equal to 5 by 2 or anything, so always results in integer. When two integers are involved in an operation, the result is always an integer. Any fractional part is truncated. That is one thing. So if you try to observe the float point, let's say that float number, if you are trying to do it, means then always will be a float. So here I am dividing with a float number. When two float point numbers are involved, means the result will be always a float. So that is one thing which you need to understand. So here you can see in such a way that I will show you printf. Okay, printf. So here you can do %d, or otherwise if you try to do, so always it will be a floating point number only. Okay, so that is one thing which you need to understand. So next one is, which you need to understand is, when an integer plus float, when an integer and a float are involved, means the integer is promoted to a float and the result is always a float. For example, let's say that I will try to explain you. Int a is equal to 5 and int b is equal to 2. Let's assume. So now here you are trying to have a float value, float result, and I will do printf. Okay, or otherwise we will try to see with an online compiler, then we will be able to see it very easily. So now we are able to see it very easily, right? So here let's assume that I am having the output run. So we are whether we are able to see the output or not. Yeah, here we are able to see it. So let's assume that we are having int a is equal to 5 and int b is equal to 2. Okay, and what I want to do, int result. Let's assume int result. Okay, or otherwise let's say that you know that it will be always float. So I will try to do it result. Now here I will calculate with result is equal to a by b. Okay, and I want to printf result is equal to, okay, we know that it is a percentage of, and here I will calculate with the result. So we will try to check whether what is the result. 5 by 2 means we know that one. So here I am trying to calculate, okay, integer with an integer. So that's why we are able to get within 2.000. So that means we are getting an integer value only. So the decimal part whichever you are trying to see, we are getting it as 0000. Why? Because so whenever you are doing with integer with an integer, means arithmetic operation integer with an integer, means you will always get an integer value only. So whether you declare with a float, the result whether you declare it with the float type also, always it will be an integer only in C. So whenever you are trying to do it with a float, so that means 5.0 and this one is 5.0, and let's assume that this one will be a float. Okay, and this is also a float. Then the result will be always the float only. So here now you will be able to see 2.5. So this is how you will be having, or integer plus float. For example, let's say that this is an integer and another one is a float. Then you will be getting the float only. Integer plus float is also a float only. So this is one thing which you need to understand. So this is arithmetic. Type conversion in assignments. So when assigning values, the type of the right hand expression is converted to match the type of the left hand variable. For example, let's say that a float is demoted to an integer by truncating its decimal part. For example, let's say that here I will try to remove it. let's say that I am having an int I variable, and here if I try to assign 3.7, okay, and if I want to check it with then percentage d I, so now if you try to check it, so this one always I becomes 3, okay, I becomes 3, and fractional part 0.7 will be truncated. So that is one thing. So fractional part 0.7 will be truncated. So that is one thing. An integer to float. Integer is promoted to a float by appending 0.0. For example, let's say that for the same thing you are having a float, and here you are trying to assign a integer value. Now if you try to check it here, the output, so it will be always promoted to, okay, so here we are using percentage d, so I need to assign it to percentage f, yeah. So now you will be able to see 3.0000. So now you will be able to see that it has, now you have assigned 3, but it will be 3.000 like this. So during evaluation, integers are promoted to floats if necessary, and the final result is converted to match the type of the left hand variable. So that is one thing. So now let's say that I will be having one simple example. I will try to show you. So we are having float a is equal to 2.5, b is equal to 4.0, and I am having an int result. So now if I try to do result is equal to a into b plus means, so result is always integer only. Why? Because it has been declared as an integer, and here this one will be demoted to int after calculation. So that is one thing. So this is all about the arithmetic operations, and I will explain you about the operation hierarchy, operator hierarchy. So normally the operator hierarchy, the first precedence which it will be taking is the star, okay, star, slash, and modulus will have the, and modulus will have the highest priority, multiplication, division, modulus. Second priority is plus and minus, and the last priority is the is equal to. So this is the hierarchy of the common operators. Operators with higher precedence are performed first. Example, for example, let's say that int I is equal to 2 plus 3 into 4. Okay, let's assume that int I is equal to 2 plus 3 is equal to 4 means, then what will happen? First 3 into 4 will be calculated, 3 4 is 12, and 2 plus 12, and now the answer will be 2 plus 12, 14. So like this it will be calculated. So if I try to check percentage d, comma, I, and semicolon. So now if you try to run the output for this one, so you will be able to see the output as 14. So precedence will be taken care. For example, if you try to apply the parenthesis means, then the output will change it to 20. So 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, 5 4 is 20. Now the output will change it to 20. So parenthesis can change the order of the operations. Associative resolves this between operators of the same precedence. Most operators star, slash, modulus, plus and minus are left to right associative. So it will be left to right associative. So that means what it will happen? So from left to right it will be happen. So here let's say that I am having 10 by 2 into 3. Let's assume. So we are having something like this. So here what will happen is, first left to right associative, I told you right, left to right associative, right? So here we will be able to see 10 by 2 is there. So first 10 by 2 will be calculated, it will be 5, then afterwards 5 into 3 it will be calculated. Now the result will be 15. So you will be able to see 15. So this is how left to right associativity it will happen. So this is all about the hierarchy of the common operators which I want to explain you. So left to right I have explained you, right? So parenthesis also, if you want to make it parenthesis means, so you can change the order of precedence with the parenthesis also you can change it. Now 10 by 5 it will become 2 3 6, 10 by 6 like this. So integer value you will be able to get, integer division you are getting. So this is all about the concept of this one. So hope you understood about this concept. So in summary, integer operations yield integer, float operations yield floats. Mixed type operations promote integers to floats. Operator hierarchy and associativity govern the evaluation of expression. Parenthesis can be used to override the default precedence rules. So this is all about the associativity of operations and all those things in the C language. So hope you understood about this concept. So if you have any doubts or any suggestions, please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you.